views expressed on this program are those of the hosts, guests, and callers, and are not necessarily those of this station, its management, or other advertisers. You're listening to Transformation Talk Radio.
This show's audio was via a Skype call.
The Truth is Funny with Colette Stefan will have you thinking outside the box and riding the wave of infinite potential. Join Colette on the Higher Self Network as she provides energetic shifts and consistent results in every area of life, inspiring listeners to shine their brilliance and ensure success. Many people who shift out of limiting beliefs roar with laughter as they recognize the humor of the giant cosmic joke. The truth is funny. Shift happens. Feel instant relief. Stay tuned for more fun and release struggle and suffering. And now, here's your host, Colette Stefan.
Today, your guest host, Phil Free, is here. Phil has been using energy work since 1998. He continues to apply these techniques every day to facilitate improvement for himself, family, friends, and clients. You can tune in and benefit from it too. Here's your guest host, Phil Free.
Hi, this is Phil Free. Welcome to The Truth is Funny on Transformation Talk Radio. I'm filling in for Colette today. Today I have my brother Michel Deleage on, and we're going to be talking about all kinds of information regarding psychology and energy and how to improve our lives with these skills. I'd like to say hi to my guest Michel. How are you?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Pretty good. So we launched right into it today. So we're going to be talking about energy work, psychology, a little bit of our journeys, how we got here and what we get out of these things and what we think you listeners will get out of these things as well. So basically, for myself, I started learning about energy work probably around 1999, 98, 99, around there. It was 98 when I first came across this particular type of energy work that I apply. And I basically have been pursuing it since then and helping myself, helping others along the way. I find it invaluable, and I continue to apply it every day of my life, and I encourage others to do it as well. How about you with the psychology, Michel? How did you get into it, and when did you get into it?
So with Myers-Briggs, I actually went to about a 3-day conference about knowing about finding your potential, knowing your strengths, and things of that sort. And that was when I was living out in San Diego, and that was about 10 years ago. And then so I'd always had the Myers-Briggs, and in my back of my mind, I've always been interested in psychology. And about 4 or 5 years ago, a friend of mine, we were just talking kind of history, psychology, the psychology of famous people, and he started talking to me about the Enneagram, and it just struck me as very insightful. And then I started learning about it and could really see how this can connect to like all the different people I knew in my life. So that's how I got into it.
Great. So as far as how we connected with this, basically, I don't know, somewhere around 2 to 3 years ago, you, Michel, were talking to me more about the psychology, the Enneagram, and Myers-Briggs, as you mentioned. And you were kind of slowly feeding me some information over the phone, and we got to talking more about it. And then it seemed like, or some momentum, that was most of our conversations were kind of centered around that a lot of the times. And I learned really quickly from the things you'd learned, and I thought it was very valuable. So we decided to have you, team up with me on the show, and we help people figure out their personality types if they want to, as well as clear their energetic issues. I know a lot of Colette's listeners are used to the energy work, and we encourage people to call in if they want to. I'll get that number out here. It's if anybody wants to call, by the way, it's, I'm sorry, I'm having trouble finding the phone number, but I'll have it up here in a second. But yeah, feel free to call in. It should be up on the site. And basically, it's 1-800-930-2819. So if anybody wants to call in, we will gladly solve any issues or help solve any issues. And we'll also give you some insights about your personality if you'd like. I find it to be helpful because for me, it added an extra layer of just any extra knowledge in a sense can be helpful, knowing what people's issues are or tendencies or how certain types tend to fall into certain issues. So for me, it accelerated my work, and that's why I found it really helpful and why we're doing this. And did you want to add anything to that, Michael?
Yeah, I mean, just to add on to what you're saying, some people, I was always curious why they did what they did. Some people seem to love adventure more and trying different things out, and we're always like happy-go-lucky people. And I was kind of curious why they were the way they were. And then when I learned the Enneagram, I started to see general patterns that kind of like tied different people together. And I've just been fascinated by it ever since.
Right. So how does it help you in your life now that you know this?
I say the biggest thing is that it helps me understand, first of all, where people are coming from, and then how to communicate in a way that they're more likely to be receptive.
Yeah, definitely. That's what I find too. And I find the energy work helps with the same thing as well. And then combining with the psychology, I feel like I have sort of extra ammunition, if you'd like. So, yeah, it's very quick. It helps me tune into people very quickly, in a sense, and take all kinds of different personality types and still find ways to relate or communicate to them. So that's how it helps for me. Otherwise, I want to just ask you about whether you find that there are also a little bit of challenges sometimes in knowing this information and relaying it to others.
Yeah, I mean, there are challenges. In my experience, some people hear about it and are very excited and want to know more. And then some people, they'll take interest, and then they'll just kind of forget about it. And then, and other people, interestingly enough, are sometimes almost seem threatened that you kind of like tune into some like deep insight about them that they might, that they might not want to reveal. And it's not like we're prying. It just eventually you just kind of develop like a sixth sense thing about it. And so some people are resistant to it. Would you say you've experienced the same thing?
Yeah, for sure. I just had an experience a couple of days ago like that, where I offered somebody who actually started telling me about their problems, and I offered them to do some energy clearing for them, and it seemed to have scared them or something. So, they turned me down, but I kindly just said, well, if you change your mind, you can just, call me, here's my number kind of thing. So that happens quite often. And yeah, I learned to not take it personal. Of course, my opinion is that this energy work and the psychology should be taught in schools from relatively young age, even, and maybe the psychology a little bit later, in a sense, maybe. But even by the time I think kids are 10 to 12 years old, they can start to grasp a lot of the simpler concepts here. I know I have a daughter who's 11 who's very, very fascinated by this. And in fact, you sent me a book, Michael, a short time ago about the Myers-Briggs, and my 11-year-old daughter is the one who's the most interested in it and has been, holding on to it to the point that I haven't got to read it yet.
Yeah, it's great.
So, so even at that age, some people can definitely begin to grasp it. I know my older daughters are definitely interested as well. That I have other daughters who are in their teens, and they are quite interested in it as well. And they've taken the test, they've looked at their personality types, all of that, and one of them talked to some of her friends about it, and had her friends taking tests and things like that. So it doesn't take, I think, in my opinion, I think people could be learning this in school at a relatively young age. But with that said, I learn not to take offense of where people are at and whether they're ready or not to receive this information. And I find that, when people are ready, that's when they're the most receptive, and that's when they're able to apply it. When it's being forced down their throats, so to speak, then they're not ready to, usually it's not a pleasant experience and they don't want to apply it in their life. Would you say the same?
Yeah, I think people have to be open to it because it's not something you can kind of like force upon someone, because else they're just going to like shut down and close you off and dig their heels even more. So it's more about whether the other person's open to the new information.
Right. So, in my experience with the energy work, I have a lot of people who might show some faint interest even or something like that, but I quickly notice that I'm going way over their heads. So sometimes I have to be conscious of slowing myself down and making sure that I'm not going too fast that people can't take it in. And sometimes just a simple concept I notice, or just one little insight, you got to let it sink in, or I have to let it sink in with somebody for a little while before they really understand what I'm saying or how it applies to life. Whereas if I'm trying to give them 5 or 6 pieces of facts or things to look at within themselves, I may overwhelm them, and they're not going to get any of it, in a sense. You ever experience that?
Yeah, I think most people are comfortable with what they know, so they sometimes people are hesitant when there's something completely different or new that they're being exposed to. So I've seen that sometimes it's just like 1 or 2 little statements about it or facts about it will pique their curiosity and just start from that point, because it can get easy in our enthusiasm to overdo it the first time, and then they just be overwhelmed with information. So yeah, I've definitely experienced that.
Right, and part of my reason for even saying that is also to encourage the listeners here that if you feel you're ready, here's your chance. By all means, give us a call at the 1-800-930-2819 and experience this for yourself. Because if you're feeling ready for this, there's probably not that many places where you can get a little bit of free attention and help and insight. So please take advantage of it if you're listening. We are coming up on a break really soon here, so we'll get back to it after the break. I just want to share that phone number one more time, which is 1-800-930-2819. If anybody wants to contact me personally, they can do so at whatphil@hotmail.com. That's WHATPHIL @hotmail.com. If they want an appointment. And would you like to share your contact real quick?
Yes, the best way to reach me is M_DELEAGE @yahoo.com.
Great. Well, thank you for that. You're listening to The Truth is Funny on Transformation Talk Radio. I'm Phil Free, and we'll be back after the break to make some shift happen.
Golden Otter Divinations Radio, where the metaphysical meets the mainstream with Autumn Seibel. Tune in the first Friday every month at 9 a.m. Pacific as Autumn, educator, health coach, and medium, explores metaphysical and mainstream strategies on how to elevate your level of conscious living. Draw in the abundance that is yours by divine right. For more information about working with Autumn, visit goldenotter.us. That's golden like the precious metal and otter like the precious animal.us.
Dream on, fly high, and live adventurously on The Laura Meeks Show. Tune in each month on Transformation Talk Radio as host Laura Meeks guides you in finding your unique gifts and bringing them to life. As a certified life coach, speaker, and veteran bomber pilot for the U.S. Air Force, Laura knows how to follow a dream. She is ready to support you so you can dream on, fly high, and live adventurously. For more information on Laura and her work, visit flyhighliving.com.
Would you like your next chapter to be free from fear and angst? Tune in to Your Next Chapter Radio, navigating through life's transitions with Shelley Ryan the fourth Monday at 12 p.m. Pacific on TransformationTalkRadio.com. Shelley's contagious enthusiasm guides you through life's transitions deliberately, mindfully, and funnily. For Your Next Chapter coaching or to listen, visit YourNextChapterCoaching.com or call 602-617-8351. Next.
Join Jennifer Noel Taylor on the hit show Quantum Touch Radio, supercharging your life on TransformationTalkRadio.com. You'll take a quantum journey as we reveal powerful yet simple steps to create more abundance, better health, emotional and mental vibrancy, and happier relationships using universal quantum touch principles. For more information, visit JenniferNoelTaylor.com.
Are you ready to stop stress, anxiety, and low self-esteem from running your life? Join award-winning author Dr. Friedemann Schaub for Empowerment Radio and learn breakthrough solutions to switch out of survival mode and approach every day with great ease, joy, and purpose. Tune in the first and third Wednesday at 11 a.m. Pacific to Empowerment Radio with host Dr. Friedemann Schaub on Transformation Talk Radio. Visit thefearandanxietysolution.com to learn more.
Like the branches of a tree, universal knowledge, insight, and wisdom must be weaved together to bring forward to others. If you live in the Western Washington area, you will want to make the trip to Auburn and visit the new Alchemy of the Goddesses Center. Now open and offering healing sessions, classes, crystals, books, oils, and more. Find out more about the center. Visit alchemyofthegoddesses.com. That's alchemyofthegoddesses.com.
Hi, we're back on The Truth is Funny. I'm Phil Free, filling in for Colette today. Feel free to call in. We love to hear from you. It's 1-800-930-2819. And we'll get back into the topic. I got my brother Michael Deleage on the phone with me. And I thought I'd start by asking you a story, if you'd share a story of your life. How did this information, maybe the Enneagram, when you learned your number type, since the Enneagram uses these numbers to identify personalities 1 through 9, how did you, what did you learn when you learned about your type, and how did it change your life, and in what ways?
Yeah, no, very good question. So, yeah, as you said, the Enneagram has 9 different personality types, and I tested as a 9, and which is known as a peacekeeper. So I was reading about it, and when you dive into the Enneagram, it talks about your potential strengths and what he calls red flags or things to watch out for. And it really kind of made sense, and it kind of identified some of the pitfalls or ways I trip myself up with my with my own personality, whether it was like fear of like conflict and like not necessarily always addressing things as soon as they should be, or sometimes just being a little bit too agreeable or things of that sort, or not really thinking my opinion really mattered. So it was really helpful that it helped me really catch myself in my own when I would kind of fall into these tendencies of
right. And would you say that did you find when you read those sort of shortcomings or the defense mechanisms of the 9, did you find that you'd been doing that a lot or relying on those things a lot in your life up to that point before you became aware of it?
Yeah, no, it was as if the author just knew me personally, and I would read this and I would just be like, wow, this is so right on. That it was as if the person knew me. How about yourself? Would you say when you discovered this, you related a lot to what you read to your life?
Yeah, also the same. Yeah, for me, when I read the book and did The Wisdom of the Enneagram, that is. It's a book we both like, so I don't mind plugging it. And I read that, and when I got to the 4 type, which was my type, it brought up a lot of issues for me. I found that, yes, it's like it was speaking to me personally almost, and I was like, wow, this is like, they've got me nailed. I can't hide from that. That's exactly what I do. Those are my defense mechanisms. That's my escapist fantasy right there. The 4 is the individualist, and that's just the title they give it. But we one of our things, we tend to go into our escapist reality, and I was like, wow. I was like, this is amazing that it's just spelling it all out here for me. And really, it changed me instantly. As soon as I read that, I was ready for it. I was ready to admit to myself, I'm like, wow, I really do these things, and I need to make an effort to stop doing these things, to stop avoiding situations I don't want to face, stop going off into my own fantasy rather than dealing with reality. Not to stop entirely to the point that I completely changed my personality, but stop doing it as a defense mechanism when I was getting scared or triggered. That's what I'm talking about. And so, although I'm not perfect by any means, and I am sure I still fall into some of those 4 tendencies, as soon as I read that book, I felt a vast improvement in my life, and I felt very conscious. And I remember reflecting a couple months after I'd read the book, and I was like, I remember looking at myself, and I thought, wow, I don't remember the last time I just avoided a situation by going off into a fantasy. And so really, since I'd read that book, I almost stopped myself cold from doing it. And I'm sure I might have slipped up a few times since then, but I've really, really changed. And I credit the book a lot, and, and the information you gave me as well, so about the Enneagram and Myers-Briggs.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that. Most of the people I share it with, and people who take the time to really look into it and read about themselves, they come back and say, wow, this is just so insightful. This really kind of spelled out different issues I had in my life, and I think it's relatable to just about anyone.
Absolutely. And, and I can also relate the same sort of feeling to the energy work too. I mean, when I came across this, and then I was able to really apply it with confidence, and it wasn't right away. I mean, it's not like I had a session and then I took a class, and after one class or one session, I knew how to do this very, very well. I mean, I understood the principles, but it took time to develop the confidence, just like with any new experience. When we drive a car or anything, we're not necessarily super confident the first time we do it, even if we know the mechanics of the car. But the more we do it, the more comfortable we get, to the point that it just becomes second nature. And when I was getting to that place of confidence with this energy shifting, I would notice that, wow, it's so effective. You could clear an issue just momentarily by acknowledging the weakness and then centering yourself. And basically, all of a sudden, your life can change in the snap of a finger like that. And it was amazing. And that's why I love these things, because it really gives me a lot of, I don't even want to use the word hope. I'd say knowing that we can improve the situation. It's not even a hope. Hope would just if I still have a question in my mind about this, it's really just a knowing that we can change our situations. We can change the situation on Earth if we want. We can improve things as we need to with this knowledge, by applying these things. Do you feel the same?
Yeah, I mean, I would say, it's more than just wishful thinking. It's I think when we're talking about the energetic healing and the Enneagram, these are practical tools, and I think you could say the same. I could definitely, I've had more than just a few examples to prove how it's helped people in their lives, and I just think generally the evidence and just the results speak for themselves.
Right. And that's actually a very funny thing, because I think you could probably relate, in the psychological world, because since it's not something that's taught in most, 1st to 12th grade schools, or not, maybe in high school to some places, but it's not something that most of us are tuned in from a young age, and many of us go through our entire school without ever even being exposed to psychology. Would you say that some people are pretty dismissive about it pretty quickly because they don't know? They think it's just a bunch of mumbo jumbo.
Yeah, I think, some people, you tell them about personality thing and they just kind of wonder. I think some people just have these stereotypes. So when they hear personality, they just think it's some like type of like, some dribble or nonsense. And, they tend to shut down right away. I think people tend to sometimes fall back on their preconceived notions of anything. So, yeah, definitely.
And that's exactly the same I experienced with the energy work, and that's even vaster because a lot of people don't buy into energy work or think it's black magic or voodoo or something like that, or that's the only way to do it. If you're gonna do some kind of energy work, it's got to be evil, some kind of thing like that. So there are a lot of people who are immediately turned off just by the sound of it, the notion of it. And it's very strange, like you're saying, because you, like yourself with the psychology, you have a lot of cases where you've helped people and they acknowledge it. And they're like, yes, I feel better. And their life changes. And we've talked about things in the past where you helped people find jobs that were good jobs for them or jobs that fit their personality types. And then they end up being happy in those jobs. And that really made a huge impact on those people's lives. And I'm sure the business as well, with these people doing better work at the right station, so to speak. And in my experience, it's been the same with the energy. I know I've changed countless people's lives time and time again. So it becomes so strange to me sometimes when people look at me and say, oh, I don't believe in that stuff. It makes me want to say, like, oh, well, what are you? And they'll be like, oh, I'm a construction worker. And it makes me want to say to them, oh, I don't believe in construction. Because to me, it's like that's be just as dismissive as they're being dismissive to me. And not that I'm going to say that necessarily, but just to make the point here on the radio as in a humorous way. You can imagine somebody got an accountant come up to you and say, hey, I'm an accountant. And I say, oh, I don't believe in accountants. I don't believe that's a real thing. That would be pretty insulting, but I get that all the time from people, and I have to get thick skin and just be like, let it roll right off my back. I don't care if they don't acknowledge what I do, or it's okay. Do you ever have anything like that too?
Yeah, I think I think sometimes too is that people will associate something that's similar or that like has the same like psychology or personality test, and they associate it with something else, and they think, oh, this is just another one of these hocus pocus things, and so they just immediately shut down to it. And but again, as you said, the biggest thing is not to take it personally. I just see myself as someone who's conveying information, and I think it's helpful for people, and if they take it, it's fine. If they don't, it doesn't say anything about me, and just not to take it personally. I think what you said is very important too.
Right. Yeah.
Neutrally.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we are coming up on another break here. So I just want to share that call-in number. If anybody wants to call in, we can take them in the next segment. It's 1-800-930-2819. And we'll be back to make some more shift happen right after this break. Stay tuned.
Did you know that all of the shows on the Transformation Radio Network are available as podcasts to stream or download?
Really?
Check us out. Go to transformationradio.fm. We have business shows, spiritual shows, energy healing shows, and pretty much everything in between. Something for everyone, guaranteed to inspire, educate, and transform. We are transforming the world, one listener at a time.
This is Debbie Pokornik with a break-free parenting tip. Parenting will always be a bit of a mystery. Who knows why some parenting ideas work and others do not? Or why some kids seem to succeed despite family setbacks, while others have so much given to them and yet fail to thrive. The one thing we do know is that once you have a child, you'll never be quite the same again. Awe-inspiring emotions like overwhelming love, extreme guilt, intense frustration, and incredible joy make this job second to none. Breaking free of parenting pressures means recognizing the pieces that make us unique, the pieces that we carry with us from the past, and the pieces that are influenced by the society we live in. When we can pick and choose which pieces we want to keep around and change the others to align with our inner wisdom, we will feel more self-assured in our role as a parent.
For information and to work with Debbie, visit empoweringnrg.com.
Are you done being afraid to jump into the life that's waiting for you? Are you ready for a real shift? I invite you to tune in every Tuesday with me, Tracy L., on the Tracy L. Clark Show, where we will teach you how to live your extraordinary life. At 8 a.m. Pacific on Transformation Talk Radio, where I will provide the tools and the steps needed to help you transcend perceived limitations and move forward with an extraordinary life. For more information, visit me at tracylclark.com.
Introducing the Lucid Planet, a digital gathering place featuring cutting-edge, high-vibrational content that will empower and inspire you to become the greatest version of yourself. Visit the Lucid Planet today to stimulate your mind, body, and soul as you connect with a global community of like-minded people. The Lucid Planet is edited by renowned psychologist and author Dr. Kelly Neff, who is here to help you cope with anxiety, connect to your higher purpose, uncover your true passions, and live your dreams. Dr. Kelly's fresh, compassionate perspective emphasizes growth, transformation, healing, and thriving, even in the face of adversity. Say goodbye to bad news and low vibrational media for good and become part of the larger collective of people working together to navigate the global shift of consciousness and transform the world from within. Join the planet, the Lucid Planet. Visit thelucidplanet.com. Welcome home.
Hi, we're back on The Truth is Funny. This is Phil Free, filling in for Colette today. And I'm here discussing energy work and psychology. And I have my brother, Michael, here with me. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing well. Again, thanks for having me over. Yeah, so kind of building off what we were saying. So what's interesting is sometimes people will come to me with a question or a problem, and it's actually like when I start listening and kind of like tuning and like really tuning in what they're saying, they'll have like the issue is actually something completely different, and they're not like not aware of it. So there's like one of the person who's coming was a person who was an 8, which is like the challenger, and they're like, oh, people, I don't know, people just seem to, be shocked by what I say and take offense to it and things of that sort. And then, kind of just being able to kind of knowing this person a little bit and tuning into this person, I was able to realize there was the 8, the challenger. And for them, they'd rather say something, and even sometimes to the point of being blunt or just direct, which might shock a lot of people. But for them, it's not to stir stuff up or conflict. But for them, they sense that it's better just to lay all your cards out on the table, just like tell it as it is, and be very straightforward about it. But for a lot of people that are we've seen there's a little bit more of in a PC culture, and for people that are sometimes a little bit more private or are used to a little bit more like slowly to reveal themselves, I think they would take that as offensive. So it was interesting. Right. I think had the person didn't know themselves about the 8, and they said, "Oh, I get off the wrong impression." It's like, no, it's just your personality and how you come off. That and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just different. People who don't know that about you won't understand that. I mean, would you say that happens a lot with you in your energetic work?
Oh, yeah. It's the norm rather than the exception with energy work. People come at me and say, "Oh, I have this issue," and for us, we test the energy, so to speak. That's the word we like to use, or feel the energy if people prefer. But we sense if there's an imbalance there or not. And a lot of times the thing that people say they're having an issue with, like, oh, lung issues right now, that the primary imbalance is not coming from the lungs, or the root of the issue is not coming from the lungs. So we really have to look at other things. I mean, sure, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt almost every single time, and I'll test the energy of the lungs. But almost inevitably, I'll find that it's not coming from the lungs if that's what they initially said. Every now and then you get a person who's correct, who says like, oh, I have a lung issue and there is a imbalance in the lungs, and we clear that. But like I said, it's the norm rather than the exception that people think they know their issue, but they actually are false.
Yeah.
And the way I said that, I know that may sound a little bit arrogant when I say that in that way too. But who am I to say that they're false? But what tells me that they're incorrect is that when I tell them what the actual issue is, then they're able to shift, and then they feel better, and then they walk away from the conversation or the session without the issue anymore. And that to me is a confirmation that I was correct and not them, because now they're not in pain anymore. And when they believed what they believed, they were still in pain. And when I set them straight, they're not in pain anymore. So that's how I judged that I was correct in the end. Not because my opinion tells me so.
Right. It's based on the results that you have and the results of the person coming at you. They just feel better and don't feel that negative energy that they had when they first came, right?
Exactly. Yeah, and so it could be all kinds of stuff. It could be a pain or psychological suffering or worry of some kind. It could be all kinds of mental distresses. So it doesn't matter, but it's the energy work is full spectrum, which I really, really like. And what I like about the psychology, though, is that yes, it applies to every human being, because every human being has a personality, so everybody can relate to this as well. These are two things that everyone can really relate to. I mean, we're all energetic beings. We all filled with energy. People sometimes even ask me to help them understand how we can sense energy or know energy. Well, I would say, the difference between a live body and a dead body. I mean, when a body dies, I mean, there's still some energy going through it, and it's still made of energy and things like that. But whatever was animating that body, giving it life, making it move, that energy is no longer there anymore. And it's somewhere else. It's not that it disappears. Energy just transfers. It doesn't really disappear. So to me, that's one of the evidences is, like, you take a body maybe that's been dead for 2 minutes. It doesn't look decomposed yet, and you take a live body who's asleep. And at first glance, you might just look at those two and think both of them are asleep. And one of them has a lot more energy running through it than the other. And that one that can wake up, it's so clear that the body can move and jump and talk and do all the stuff. And the dead body doesn't have that same energy in it. And it can't talk, it can't move. Maybe it'll, decompose a little bit or things like that. But there's a clear difference with the one who has a lot of energy and the one whose energy is dying and rotting away. So that's one of the ways I help people identify even the existence of energy. And some people get that. Some people don't like that example at all. I'll give other ones in the future, but I can't give them all over the radio show. And as you know, even with the types and giving examples, certain types will probably pick up on examples better than others. And others, for example, feelers might relate to me in some ways, and thinkers will relate to me in a different way. Or people who are sensors versus intuitives. Some people will take what I'm saying very literally, and other people will understand the metaphor in what I'm saying. So I'll find different ways of saying this over time. Is there any ways that you find that same thing where, like, you're trying to explain something to somebody, but you know that not every type will necessarily receive it, so you explain it in 2 or 3 different ways?
Oh, yes. I think one of the biggest benefits to the Enneagram is that by knowing their number, I can usually also, it helps me gauge their letters, and it helps me it helps me connect with them in terms of, like, the information. And I'm like, okay, how you tell one person one thing and how they're likely to be receptive to it is going to be totally different from the next person. And really,
sure, but here we are, like, even right now, for example, we're talking to a group, and they're most likely, I mean, if we have at least a certain number of listeners, I would imagine all 9 types are represented, and possibly all letter combinations are represented perhaps as well. Perhaps we have more feelers and thinkers listening, I don't know. Perhaps more intuitives and sensors, I don't know for sure. But you see what I'm saying? Talking to this whole group, we're not necessarily going to reach them all with the same sentence or the same example, right?
Right, and then that's where I think this can be applied on on a large level is, let's say, even like in education, if you're teaching students, and it can be any subject, how you want to relate your information to a sensor and to an intuitive would be very different. And I think as a teacher, anyone who purveys information to someone else, knowing that can be just a huge tool in helping like the student like really learn and capture that information.
Great. Hey, we have our first caller here. Let's put him on, Carter.
Yeah, Christina from Arizona. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Phil
Christina.
and Michael. This is how are you?
Hello. Doing well. How are you?
I happened to be home this morning, and so I had the link last night, and I'm so happy to be able to hear you guys talking. And I'm familiar with energy work myself. While I don't do it professionally, just more with family and friends, I have a certification in energy work, and I completely understand. It's interesting to hear you guys talk about just the resistance around it a lot in communities, especially depending on who you're talking to. But it's done amazing things in my life, and I'm so happy to see you guys it does take a bit of a thick skin to do the work. But what I'm fascinated in is the Enneagram. I actually came across it a couple of years ago, and I was really into it for a little while, and I got a library book out of the library and I'd never had a chance to read it or anything, but I did go online, and I think I'm a number 9 from what I can tell. So I was just curious, your thoughts, or maybe I'm not a 9, if you guys do any testing online or anything like that. But I've had a lot of stress in my life. So moving forward, like the 9 was always interesting because I think it's really, I could be wrong about this, but maybe being an Enneagram 9 is really hard to be dealing with a lot of stress. So yeah, I'd love your feedback.
Hey, Michael, you want to take? Yeah, sure. Hey, Michael, you have any insights so far on that?
Yeah, I'll jump in here. So, do you find yourself like really feeling uncomfortable with conflict, and when things are like when you're in disagreements with people, and just like the notion of having to address difficult topics? Do you find that to be hard for you?
As time has gone on, I'm better at that. But, my core person growing up in most of my life, yes. However, my situations have made me kind of have to deal with that more. So I've definitely been more on a spiritual path my whole life. And it's been challenging for me to kind of, not run away from things, but also, try practices. I feel like I've read so many books and tried so many different practices. I'm kind of just at the end of the line with so many things, and I feel kind of just like that void now, which is beautiful. But I also am so curious. But yes, I guess the answer is yes, but then at the same time, it's tricky for me because I think there was another part of Enneagram too where I was like, oh, well, that kind of resonates too. But like that one seemed like number 9 was like the biggest one for me.
It's interesting.
I'm going to jump in here because we're about to hit up a break. Christina, stick around if you don't mind. Stick around through the break.
Sure.
And we'll continue. Yeah, we'll continue after this break. All right. We'll be right back to make some more shift happen. Stay tuned.
High frequency healing for an amazing life with Source Light Radio. Join host Laura Barton each month on Transformation Talk Radio as she explores Source Light integration, a unique spectrum of energy, light, and frequency. Experience instantaneous healing and amazing shifts in consciousness with Source Light Integrations Radio. For more information on Laura and her work, visit sourcelightintegrations.com.
How would you like increased health and vitality? How would you like to avoid the onset of disease as well as slow the aging process? This is all possible through a simple, safe, and natural process. Every day we are either moving toward wellness or away from wellness.
Hi, I'm Mary Jane Mack. I'd like to be your partner in achieving optimal health. Contact me now at maryjanemack.com or call 425-392-0659. Visit maryjanemack.com.
Did you know that all of the shows on the Transformation Radio Network are available as podcasts to stream or download?
Really?
Check us out. Go to transformationradio.fm. We have business shows, spiritual shows, energy healing shows, and pretty much everything in between. Something for everyone, guaranteed to inspire, educate, and transform. We are transforming the world, one listener at a time.
Tune in to the Jen Royster Show, intuitive guidance to inspire your life, each Thursday at 8 a.m. Pacific and 11 a.m. Eastern on TransformationTalkRadio.com. This amazing show is an inspirational hour that will take you on an epic metaphysical journey to discover the spiritual approach to life's greatest challenges. Dr. Jen is an internationally known intuitive counselor, spiritual teacher, and energy healer. Call in for intuitive readings and visit JenRoyster.com for more information.
Welcome to the Dr. Pat Show, talk radio to thrive by. I am so thrilled to be talking to all of you. We have got talk radio for all of us. Are you ready and willing and able to accept all of the abundance you can muster up in your life? Yeah! Check us out at drpatshow.com, transformationtalkradio.com, transformationradio.fm. Oh my goodness.
Hey, this is Phil Free filling in for Colette on The Truth is Funny. You can reach me at whatphil@hotmail.com. That's WHATPHIL at hotmail.com. Michael, you want to share yours real quick one more time?
Yeah, my email is _DELEAGE at yahoo.com.
Cool. All right, let's get back into it. Christina, you still with us?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, Michael had a couple other questions for you here.
I was curious, have you ever taken the Myers-Briggs test?
I have not, and I've always wanted to, and would that be a good thing for me to do?
Yeah, I think, any stuff like that always gives more insight. I tend to sometimes see correlations with numbers and letters, but I was just asking about that. I want to ask you some 9 experiences possibly to ask you about the possible 9 experiences. Would you say that sometimes, when you're kind of not feeling so confident, you kind of wonder, a lot of 9s will struggle, what's my presence doesn't really matter in this life, what am I here for, and all that sometimes, and they struggle to sometimes assert themselves in situations when need to. Have you struggled with that in the past or even today?
For sure. Yes, that would make sense.
I'll ask a question too. I'll ask a quick question too. Do you find yourself tending to agree with people a lot because you don't want to get into an argument?
It's interesting. It's more of I'm a real feeler person too, so even if I don't, and I'm more aware of this now, but when I was younger, I tend to kind of mold into whatever that person needs and whatever, not really needs, but what kind of personality type that person is. So I kind of can what they need, I'll kind of, and it's not really even conscious sometimes. It's just how do I describe this?
You're trying to make them feel comfortable.
Needs.
You're concerned about their concerns, and you want them to be nice, you want them to be at ease, right?
Exactly. And it's not that because I've disagreed, of course, I'll speak up my mind, but it's more I find myself, and it's not until afterwards that I really realize it, because I can feel things really strongly, and so that's kind of been hard for me, because I sometimes lose, where do I end in another person, and then that identity thing, and I don't know if that's just a 9 or a general, we all go through that sometimes of, so I guess in some ways that would make sense too. And that's why when I was reading over the profiles, that was the first, I'm always, in a job, for instance, I'm always the one trying to, is everybody, cool and taken care of, and do they know what they're doing? I'm constantly always, and I enjoy that for sure, but it's caused me a little bit of struggle too. So I just get a little, sometimes I'm I think I need to do more of solo work, maybe I'm more off better. working just alone for most of the part, you know?
Yeah, no, as a 9, I could totally relate. Like even in the book, in the Wisdom of the Enneagram, he talks about how like we 9s will like merge into someone's, almost like merge into them, like as into their like personality. Because we like I think from like the story you shared is that like you really like instinctively like pick on people's emotions very easily. Like you kind of would you say that you really sense when people are sad or happy or like kind of like burnt out or tired?
Sure. Sure. And again, it's not like necessarily like a in the moment. It's just I can sense it more later because when you have time to look back on something. But I can sense. Yeah, like I can tell like where does this energy need to go, and that's been challenging, as I'm sure both of you experienced just in this work, is making sure to have like helping people, but also I just get drained really easily, I'm finding. And then when I have to deal with my own challenges, it's more harder for me because I'm more, and so I have to really, I think that's why I've been drawn to this work. I really have to, on a daily basis kind of energy tune myself so that I can, just stay healthy and happy.
Right. And that's a gift, I think, of the 9 is that you want to, you really relate to people in a way, and that's a great thing. But, as you said, too much of a thing, you'll feel drained, and you don't want to forget your own voice and your own identity in it. So, the nugget I've learned is trying to, find a good balance between, helping people and relating to where they're coming from, but not also, forgetting about myself and, also just taking time to, for myself to really, kind of recharge and invest in myself, too. Because people will benefit from a more developed you. And that's a very, and 9 sometimes, forget that. They always, put other needs in front of them and will sometimes, neglect themselves.
Interesting. Okay. Thank you. And do you have any, I don't know, Phil, if you any energy, is there any specific
out of all the things you just mentioned, what is the biggest concern for you, or what's the biggest hamper in your life out of all the sort of issues you just mentioned over the last few minutes?
Well, currently it's ever changing as we know. Currently I'm transitioning into so much of what do I really want to be doing with to earn a living in life right now, in a way that's peaceful and balanced, and because I've done so many different things. So that's been a challenge for me. And I think I'm in that identity, like Michael said, just finding what really works for me, not what I think I should be doing or what's going to be the best to serve the world, which we all do in our work anyways when we're happy and aligned. So that's, I think, the biggest challenge for me right now is navigating that.
Okay, so I'll focus on 2 areas that I picked from what you just said. One, I'll just do a general sort of centered, stable, balanced shift for you, just to get you more centered, all that stuff. And then the second thing is I'll tune into your financial future a little bit and just strengthen that a little bit, so you're not so concerned about it. Okay.
Okay.
So I'm just going to ask you now on a scale of 0 to 10, with 10 being the worst. How much are you concerned? What number are you at when you think about your financial future?
10 being the worst?
How much? 10 being the worst.
Sorry. Okay. Well, currently it feels that way. I know that sounds pretty heavy. Okay, let's say a 9, maybe.
That's okay. Let's go with that then.
Yeah.
We're running a little low on time, so let's work with that. Let's say, it's bothering you a lot. That's what you feel. All right, so let's just center that a little bit, and also I'll give you a little just general center. So I'm going to just center your being in general, all right? Get you centered from left to right, front to back, and top to bottom. And inside to outside, outside, inside, so all the reverses. We're going to strengthen you to that, okay? So we're going to strengthen core, all right? Strengthen all of this. And now, as far as the future finances, I'm going to clear the worry out of it, okay? So it's really the fear of unknowns more than anything else. So I'm going to just change that, get you more comfortable with the unknown, just make you neutral to the unknown, really. That's what we want to be. It's there. We'll be fine with it, So we'll get you strong to the unknown, which I'm doing now, get you balanced with the unknown, And then just a lot of worrying tendency I feel for you. So we're just going to strengthen you. If you worry or if you don't worry, we'll get you more neutral to it. And when it doesn't bother you so much to worry or how much you worry, you'll actually do less of it. So we're just going to strengthen you to that. And since we're really low on time here, I'm going to just ask you now, on a 0 to 10 scale, if where are you at now when you think about your financial future? How much does it bother you on a 0 to 10 scale?
It feels more like a 4, just hearing your words and probably your shifts. Yeah.
Great. So you see, it can go pretty fast once we start to tune in. Since we are running low on time, I am going to have to, say goodbye here. But I just wanted to say, if you want to, email one of us, either of us will be glad to do a session, or you can call back next radio show. We'll be back on next month. And of course, Colette's excellent at what she does. If you listen to her show, she would be glad to do some shifts for you as well. But thanks for calling.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much for your time, both of you. Appreciate it.
Thanks for the call.
Yeah, no problem. Hey, Michael, do you have any last words, last piece of advice for the listener before we go?
Yeah, the last thing I'd say is that this thing, it's real. The Enneagram and the energetic, it works. It's not like a 5-minute fix, but if you really take time to be open to it and commit to it, you'll see some great results.
Right, and I just want to finish how I usually finish, that we are creating our reality. Imagine a beautiful reality, and it will be only a matter of time before it happens. I'll help along the way, and we'll all apply energy work, psychology, and other knowledge that we have to make it a reality. But I say, hey, create a beautiful world for yourself and leave room for everybody to do the same. And pretty soon that will be our future. Thanks, everyone, for listening. Have a great month of November, December, and we'll be back at the beginning of December. Make some more shifts happen in the month. See you guys next time.
You've been listening to The Truth is Funny with Colette Stefan. Tune in to The Truth is Funny with Colette Stefan each Wednesday at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern on TransformationTalkRadio.com. Join Colette on the Higher Self Network as she provides energetic shifts and consistent results in every area of life, inspiring listeners to shine their brilliance and ensure success while roaring with laughter as they recognize the humor of the giant cosmic joke. The Truth is Funny. Visit thetruthisfunny.com for more information. That's thetruthisfunny.com.